if you can give me a check.
How I report it, because I don't have.
You don't. I don't know why it's spelled wrong, but
It's a policy update by Zoom. Zoom's done that comment. I expected it. So anyway, it's 7:03. I'll call the Ithaca School Board meeting to order. On item 1, item 2, roll call.
Can verification meeting notice?
Oh, sorry, didn't see that. Verification meeting notice.
posted on the web.
Thank you. Item 2, roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bridgeway?
Yes.
Mrs. Varian?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Here.
Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Mrs. Keller? Here. Is it Busher?
Yes.
Well,
Just like it's spelled.
I can tell, I thought maybe it was a little more. Welcome.
And do we have any students attending? They've been invited, so I'm gonna
good.
make sure we ask if they're here.
Is that everybody? On the agenda, on the roll call?
Mhm.
Okay. Item 3, approval of the agenda of June 14th.
Also move.
A motion by Linda,
I'll second it.
second by Becca. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Item 4, approval of meeting minutes. 4.1, approval of the minutes of April 12th, 2021.
I didn't see anything.
You aren't seeing anything
I think they came out right away, right after the meeting.
What's
I
that?
think they came out like the day after the meeting, because we didn't have them previously. So I'll motion.
Motion by Mr. Brown,
Second.
second by Mrs. Variance. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 4.2, approval of minutes of May 10th, 2021.
Same thing.
Any
I'll
discussion?
make a motion that we approve them.
Motion made. Did I hear a second?
I'll second.
Who did?
Kelly?
Kelly. Motion seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 4.3, discussion of possible action appointing an alternate clerk.
We kind of forgot that.
Forgot that one.
Sorry.
When we reorged.
So who does not have a role?
Kelly.
No, she's.
Oh, she has
the clerk.
Becca.
Becca.
Becca. I'm sorry, Becca.
Mr. Busher wouldn't either because he wasn't even here, so I'm
on curriculum.
Yeah, but that's just,
That's
that's
a-
not a,
Okay.
I'm not saying I wouldn't
You
do
only
that.
have to fill in when Kelly's not officially here or available.
You're always here.
I'll make a motion to appoint Becca as the alternate clerk.
I'll second it.
First and seconded. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thanks.
Moving on, item 5, citizens forum. Any citizens wishing to offer comments or be heard, please speak up. Hearing none.
Do we have
Do we have
any
people on? Let's check that.
Yep, I'm just gonna check it.
Sure
We do
we're
have people
running.
on and they're just listening.
Okay. We'll move on to item 6, committee reports / minutes. 6.1, finance and personnel.
All right, finance and personnel met earlier today, 6:30 prior to the board meeting. Work through our agenda, specifically bills and balances, items to highlight. Check number 51706 to CISA 3 for $4,045 and change. Check number 51738, 51749. Those were checks in regards to the winch project on the basketball hoops in the gymnasium. Came in as on budget $12,240 for Weimers and $1,745 and change to Barnett Electric. So that project is completed. Couple noteworthy expenditures, checks number 51816 and 51687, both payable to the Richland School District. Those were for our lunch program, our meal program for the months of March and April. March expenditure was $16,278.60, and April at $20,591 24. Additional item to highlight was check number 51800 payable to Boardman and Clark for $2,140. That was simply legal fees for billed hours. In addition to bills and balances, we discussed allocating additional funds to the Fund 46, which is for long-term projects. We're in year 2 of 5. The exact amount is to be determined based on expenditures as they come up, depending on when and how much and when projects come out at. We discussed the addition or possibility of adding a school nurse and what that possibly would look like in terms of expenses. Once again, reviewed hourly employee rates and where those raises would come in at if we chose to proceed with that. The possibility of adding a communications person, as well as having individuals working remotely in non-student placed roles, as well as potential or preliminary budget for next school year, financial budget, and insurance renewals for both our property insurance as well as cyber liability. Next meeting is set for July 19th at 6:30.
Any other discussions?
The only thing, and it might have been my hearing, the CISA was $9,583, not $4,000, and that's our quarterly. That
Sorry.
was, and I might have heard wrong.
No, there was 2
You know, I
CISA
am old.
checks. No, there was 2 of them. I had highlighted the one and not the other, so
Okay.
you're spot on.
Any other questions? Therefore, we'll move on to 6.2 building and grounds from June 2nd. Not kind of my job anymore, but I'll discuss it. Randy and Bob were there, and Steve, we were all there, I believe, or was Steve there? No, he was not. Okay, Frank. That's right, Frank was there. They look alike. But we went through, various items talking about, I'm trying to remember everything. We went through, talked about the winches. We click on. I don't
It's
have
not
it.
linked there.
It's not
but
linked
I
to one.
can pull out
I'm just trying to remember now everything, but we end up discussing, we went out and toured the shop, looked at the facilities there, trying to determine, if we add, because there is discussion as we look as an ag, for an ag tech position, the possibility in the future, the near future of ag and possibly adding a tech, having 2 separate locations, and the possibility even of, because space is a premium, you possibly utilize in the old gym, or the old, what used to be the shop back in my days for the tech ed, or vice versa. Here we go. We had discussed the air system, the air handling system. We were talking about possibly making a road trip on that to actually look at the equipment. Frank had sent us information about some articles. I looked at them, and I know this is a discussion item. We have not yet done a possible action item tonight. We have not done that quote unquote road trip yet to go look at them, but there is some concern with the effectiveness of these systems, as well as possible even that if they produce ozone, there could be some, that's not a good, ozone's great up in the upper atmosphere. It is not good at the ground level. It could cause damage to people, to humans, as well as any living cells. So there's quite a bit of discussion yet to go on that. And that's, so we will see. We had a balance. The upper 90 was actually when it was made more in the total room, in total, the total school would have been closer to 48,000, but has individual controls within. And also we can monitor via computer the positive and negative ions being discharged into the room. So we had quite an extensive discussion on that under new business, monitoring discussion about similar things that we'll have to talk about tonight. If we have money left over in our budget, how do we expend it before the fiscal year is done? Daycare, possibility of the addition with, we have several new bulldog pups, as Ms. Shane called it. Would it be possible or considered to have a daycare in the community gym to address this? And that makes it better for our faculty and staff that may have also taken advantage of that. Additional space required, increasing shop space, library expansion. We've talked about possibly going into the courtyard area, which is in immediately to the, I think, south of the library here. And then additional classroom space, as I said, we need space. Shower and bathrooms for weight room, bus shelter, and we've had, this is an ongoing discussion. Do we build a bus garage? Look at doing that in the very near future, and possibly even an overprotective covering for shelter for the buses. Then that also ultimately frees up potentially classroom space down in the, what used to be the ag shop. And then, the bus area, or the meeting area. Then corner office in the elementary school, long-term planning need for expansion committee. We went through a bunch of that. We're actually knocking off quite a few things on that. Then other matters for building and grounds. And as I said, we went out and looked at, what was Mr. Favreau's shop area and had a discussion on that. So then we set the next meeting. And anything else?
I'd just like to say I'm really glad that you're thinking of doing a road trip or something, because I do think schools and hospitals and things like that are getting hit real hard with it. You have to do this, and it's a lot of money.
It is.
And is it going to be effective?
And not to steal the thunder from the, obviously this is on item 8.2, but there, and we'll have that discussion then, but research is needed on this. There is a lot of money being thrown around, and is that why, my question in a lot of this, is that why the hospitals and schools are installing it? Because they have it, in essence, being granted, the money granted to them. And it's in effect, considered an acceptable use of these funds. That is difficult to get unbiased
I'm glad.
evaluations of this. So anyway, that's one of the main things on that. So, but like I said, we'll discuss it under 8.2. Moving along, if we don't have any other discussions, we'll move on to item 6.3, curriculum.
And we did not have a meeting?
Did not have a meeting. Okay, moving on to item 6.4, policy.
We had policy. So
Gotta be going forever.
Yeah.
Now, let's see, where am I?
It was short and sweet. We talked about sick days.
Sick days, sick, for sick leave, and we compared it to a couple other schools like Hillsborough, which has a buyback rate of so much per day over like 110 days, and they prorate, like if you have like a half a day, quarter day sick leave, it'd be like $12.50, half a day is like $25, and a full day would be $50. Riverdale absolutely has no days, no payment at any time. So that was the two that they looked into. Talked about the student handbook, and stuff a little bit. That would be 4.01. Live streaming events and how to handle like the feed in the area, like background noise and stuff, and what to do there. Otherwise, it wasn't a very long meeting, I don't remember.
Regarding the sick leave payout deal, I guess one of the things that I was struck with was, currently our policy does not have a payout.
Right.
And we were asked to consider whether we would revisit that. And we were given a few examples of that. I think the number one takeaway, at least that I had, was we really can't even make a recommendation or go too far to the next step unless we have an idea of the expenditure, the cost that it would incur. Because we would have to have those funds allocated separate so that to ensure that we can cover that liability. So until we have a better idea of what that might look like, I thought it was pretty hard to make a recommendation.
Okay, anything else on that, on policy? Very good, moving on to item 7, report 7.1, district administrators report, events in the building.
All right, so I like big font. Sorry. So I've got a couple of handouts. So I'm cordially inviting everybody to an equity training. We have equity training for our new staff. And so I'm gonna give you this little tiny piece of paper here, and it's got corrections on it. And if you wouldn't mind filling it out, and I It's up to you to come to the training or not. That's totally up to you guys. But like 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this would really work for me, or make them all 4s. I can't come to any of those. I get all of that. I'm also giving you a big pile of papers. Some of our board members are new. So we have included, so let me read through my report quick before I go into my paperwork. So we would like to make sure I'm using the wrong mouse because I'm showing this one. We'd like to, if possible, we'd like you to come to some of our equity training. I think it's important that you as a board be able to also hear and see what we're doing, what it looks like, and give us your thoughts and ideas on it. The communication plan has taken shape. I'm gonna bring it back to you guys next month for approval. And we're already starting this month, we're already starting on checking off some of the lists. So I'm very excited about that. The celebration committee took the responsibility of honoring every staff member with years of service certificate. Additionally, if someone has worked here, they were given a t-shirt. 10 to 19's got a t-shirt, pullover, sweatshirt, or blanket. 20 to 29 years. We give out lots of stuff. Ithaca has not done this before, so we did have a lot of catching up to do, but the staff really appreciated it. We also have a present of a bulldog of some sort for the retiring members. So we did several things for the staff. We had a game of games for a chance at winning prizes. And there were many people appreciated. So people would sneak into somebody's room and write a note on their chalkboard or the whiteboard or something. It was really nice to see all the pictures. I don't know if you've heard these or not. The mayor was asked to read some affirmations and they're linked here. Would anybody like me to play one? Or both?
Sure.
Sure, I can do that one.
Wait.
Since this message, dear Mr. Mayor, part of our end of year celebration, we are doing challenges, and mine is to write you an email describing what Ithaca Pride means to me and to share something about a teacher I feel has made a difference in our students' lives. Ithaca Pride, I'm a bulldog through and through. Since 1975, I've been part of the school community, beginning with my first year as a kindergartner at Neptune School. In 1988, I graduated with a wonderful group of seniors, most of whom I have remained friends with and in contact with to some extent. Being a bulldog means being tenacious, hardworking, cooperative, standing up for what is good and right, not being afraid to try something or to speak up and out. A bulldog, by Google's definition, is sociable and sweet, but with a reputation for courage that makes him an excellent watchdog. A bulldog is a lover, not a fighter. He's dignified rather than lively and has a kind, although occasionally stubborn nature. A bulldog is friendly and easygoing. He gets along with everyone. Which teacher has made a difference? So many. I think of Gary Gutknecht, Mr. Pampu, Mrs. Louise Murphy, Mr. Bob Pilla, Mr. Fred Dillon, Mr. Ron Donahoe, and Mrs. Berla Paul. So many teachers made a difference in my life. But today, which teacher is currently teaching and impacting Ithaca students? Still so many. It's a very difficult to highlight only one, but the challenge is for one. I have to choose Kristen Willis. Mrs. Willis began her career as a middle school science teacher in 1988, the fall after I graduated from Ithaca. When I began working at Ithaca in 2001, I was so fortunate to be on the middle school team working alongside Mrs. Willis. I hope all students recognize the opportunity they had when they were in her class. Not only does she know and love her subject, but she knows and loves her students. I believe her impact on students is so strong because she truly wants to know and know well her students, their families, what makes them tick, how they think, their strengths and weaknesses, and what they want to be. She teaches the whole child. Not only do students learn about science from Mrs. Willis, they learn how to be a good person, how to serve others, help their community, be part of a group, stand alone, and to be comfortable within themselves. So my hat is off to Mrs. Kristen Willis. She made a positive impact on me as a new teacher when I served the Ithaca faculty, when I joined the Ithaca faculty. She has impacted positively so many Ithaca students. Thank you, Chris, for being you.
So that was one of the many, many, many things that our staff shared about each other, so. Get back to my report, and Mrs. Ria, Mrs. Bailey wrote one about Mrs. Ria also, they're linked in here, so please listen. Our big winner was Mrs. Boland, she got a big 2-night stay at a hotel in the Dells, it may even have a water park. Thanks, nobody laughs at my jokes.
Johnson in a water park.
Yes, it may even have a water park. All right, thanks to the celebration committee and the local businesses that donated prizes. We've got some of them listed. I missed a couple, so I want to just make sure I mention. We spent, for years of service, we spent $275 on restaurant gift cards, $30 on retiree gifts. PTSO was $109, $125. Donated, Wertz Home and Floor donated, Walsh's Ace Hardware donated, Tractor Supply, Rich's Insurance, that was me, Jones Chevrolet, Philback Ford, and The Wilderness. So a lot of local people donated, and including the PTSO, which we know is everybody. Ms. Durkin has a virtual art show. I'd love to show it, but it's really long and nobody wants to be here that long. But I love seeing the growth from the little ones to the older ones. It's amazing. This year, Ms. Durkin taught some adult classes for some of our staff. And some of those can get great outcomes too. I am looking for people to become a member of a new short-term committee on after-school programming. After-school programming is an allowable cost on our ESSER 3 plan. We'd like to incorporate as many people as possible in the planning. If anyone's interested, please let me know. And like several students, parents, and at least one board member, we plan to meet once a week and have a plan ready to implement in August with projected start date in September. And this Thursday, June 17th is drive a bus night. You wanted to always drive a bus, you just wanted to try it once, this is your turn. So we have a way for you to register and there'll be snacks and prizes, so.
And high pressured salesmen trying to get you to.
We would like you to become a bus driver for the school district, but it's not required, but again, we're just excited that we are having that.
Excellent.
Oh, I wanted to go through the pile, I'm sorry. So, and I'm sorry, I just dumped this on you, but 8 characteristics of an effective school board. Again, I'm not expecting you to take notes and study and all that kind of stuff. For your, maybe your bathroom meeting, but, the district chain of command. So you guys technically all report to me. Please call me, tell me when if somebody calls you and tells you something. First thing you can say is, have you talked to the teacher, or have you talked to the principal, or have you talked to the superintendent? And then you can let me know always. And then I'm in charge of all the people on that top line, or then in charge of the people below them. So that's the chain of command and our structural change. Then our Ithaca handbook, which we just reapproved, and it's got lots of good stuff. Towards the end in the back, starting on page 13 and 12, there's good dates and definitions. So if we start using terms that you don't quite understand, please just say, what was that again? I do that a lot as a special education director, and it's not good for anybody. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stop me and say that again. I just actually did that in the last meeting. Cheryl used something, and I'm like, what was that again? She said it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So I even ask. And then I thought this was really interesting how local school board has a positive influence on student achievement. If you guys have goals and really do the work, also, you also will have an impact on our students. And I think that's important to note. So again, I'm just dumping this on you right now. And there's not going to be a quiz next month or anything. But good stuff to have. There's also a WASB book here that anybody can borrow and look at. And then my last thing is Southwest Tech sends out a catalog of all the things that they provide and all of our kids that are in it, not names, but numbers and stuff. So I'll pass this around because it's interesting to find out from Southwest Tech, what our kids are doing.
Anything else? Any questions? On 7.2 business manager report, Ms. Cheryl.
So we looked over the list of reports, kind of lengthy. And all those claims are all grants that either Julie's written or the state or federal has given us. Anyway, so those are all coming up. I don't know that I did not have an update on the May, service on that because I just did the claim for May and June. May last week, June this week. So I will update that for next month. Those end of year budget projections are the same thing that we looked at before to see where we could find some money to do some of these end of year projects. District insurance renewal with Tricor. On average, property coverage premiums has risen 20% across the nation. Ours remains steady. Our insurance agent called me that day when he saw our renewal and he said, you want me to renew this today? I said, I do, and he said, yes, because if they realize they made a mistake, you're gonna get a premium increase. So we renewed that one. I told him to go ahead. The rest of them, we have to act on tonight. So general liability went up $156, crime went up 57, automobile went 797, linebacker, which is our professional liability. So if someone was accused of doing something wrong, that's what the policy would cover that. Kind of an errors, like if you were in commercial, it'd be an errors and omissions policy. Data compromise, cyber coverage, there was a 0% increase, but they cut our coverage from 500,000 to 250,000 for the same amount of premiums. So I asked Brandy Peterson from Tricor to give me an alternative quote, which is here as well. The umbrella policy, $19 increase in workers' comp went up $442. So it was like a 4.4549% increase overall. And then I just, yeah. And the dividend did go down 2%. So at the end of the year, we normally get a dividend back from them, depending on our loss ratio, if we have losses or whatever. That's kind of a synopsis of.
With our new board members, Julie, could you just scroll back to the food so that we can just
food, yeah.
kind of show them what has happened over the last few years? You know, we've contracted with Richland Center. We have to buy X number of meals. So we have to, that's the number that we have to buy.
And originally it was 68,000. We did get them to come down this year for 65,000, but we're still gonna pay them for meals that we.
Right, we're still gonna be paying them probably close to, I would say, the high 20s. Maybe closer to 30,000 in food that we didn't use. So as we talk about, you know, moving forward, I think that's just something that you all need to be aware of, that it's worked well, but it's also.
So we're only using about half is what you're saying?
Well,
This year was very odd.
yeah, and with the COVID, but still, we've lost every year.
8291, is that's revenue over expenses, you know, revenue less expenses, does that stay here, or that's net gain loss, yeah, so does that,
So those,
Get
the
split with
revenues
Richland
that are
Center?
coming in, because right now we're operating under a summer seamless something option, SSO. Which means that everybody in the school eats for free, and they did that because of COVID. They've extended it to next year, so nobody in the district, everybody can eat, but we're finding that they're not, every child. But we're finding that the numbers have kind of gone down as far as them eating, so.
But we're not losing money per se, 124,000 in revenue, 93 in expenses.
No, actually, at this point in time, because we're doing the SSO program, we're actually making money.
Oh.
I mean, we
That's at
made
49.
8,291 over what we have paid Richland.
Yep.
But when we account for those meals that we're not going to consume, that's where it's gonna, we're gonna have a loss.
Yeah, we pay for it no matter what.
Because we're contracted for 65,000 meals, whether we eat them or we don't.
Mhm.
So, next year is the last year of our 2-year contract, so that's where I started the conversation a couple board meetings ago about, do we wanna take the program back and hire our own staff and do it in-house again? Or do we wanna continue doing this? Maybe we can negotiate less meals or whatever, but we need to have that conversation.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Cheryl? Okay. We'll move on to item 7.3, the principal report. Mr. Lechner.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Great. Well, school is out. The last week of school was a busy one for staff and students. We had finals tests in the high school, testing in the middle school, and many end of the year field trips for the middle school students. Thanks to Ms. Sprecher for putting together a great end of the year program for the staff and students on Friday. Everybody seemed to enjoy the chance to say goodbye for the summer. The Ect Test Scores are in, and I'm happy to report that our average scores have stayed within percentage points of the previous years. And we were all concerned about that because of COVID and everything else, but it seems to worked out all right. We're still trying to improve on them though. Of course, our biggest event was the graduation ceremony for the class of 2021. The graduation ceremony was held in the gym and was very well attended. A special thanks go out to the senior class advisors, Ms. Durkin and Mr. Monty. Thanks also to the band and choir programs that are led by Ms. Behrens and Ms. Niemeyer. Also thanks to Ms. Kirshner, Mr. Hess, the administrative team, and to Frank and all the custodians. Thanks to the office staff for putting together all of the graduation programs. Everyone is looking forward to a more normal school year next year and are looking forward to getting all of our students back in full classes and full athletic schedules. We also had a training session with Mr. Ludi, who's the principal at Stanley Boyd, that was attended by administration and other teachers. He is helping us plan our PLC for next year and also gave us great ideas that will help our students achieve their potential. I would like to welcome our new high school English teacher, Ms. Courtney Nugent, and our high school math instructor, Mike Andreessen. Special recognition and thanks to the staff for their years of service that are retiring or moving on, Ms. Wanter, Mr. Favreau, Mr. Trepon, and Mary Jo Meyer. Thanks to all you have done for our students and district. The administration and numerous teachers are planning on attending various trainings this summer. Does anyone have any questions about any of that?
Any questions? Hearing none. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Move along to item 7.5. 7.4. Principal report, Ms. Shane.
I did not.
Okay. Oh, we'll make sure she hears about that. Anyway, moving on to 7.5 curriculum report, Ms. Shane. Same deal.
Because we didn't have a curriculum meeting. so-
Man. Oh yeah, that's true. We didn't have enough. We'll give her a pass on that.
And she's at the regional track meet, so.
Yeah.
She's watching her go.
Yeah, I know.
Gives us a report.
Yeah. 7.6 athletic director's report, Mr. Cumming.
First thing is to start with softball finished their season last week. I was happy with the job they did going through the difficulties of the season. Coach Boland was her first season getting to play. Obviously, she didn't have a year last year, so just it was unique there. If you're able to watch a lot of their games, there's a ton of improvement. When I kind of put, they won 2 of their last 3 regular season games, and they beat teams they lost to earlier, so you definitely could see that. A very young team with only a couple of seniors, so I definitely am excited to see what that continued growth out of that program. Boys baseball, last week, won the Ridge Valley Conference, finishing with an 11-1 conference record. They are currently 14-3. They won their opening round playoff game last week against Wani Walk Center. They play tomorrow at Riverdale, and then if they win tomorrow at Riverdale, they'll play Wednesday right away, potentially home, potentially at Royal. That's still up in the air with where the boys will be if they can get by Riverdale tomorrow. High school track. Some of the things I have there. Grant Regional right now, which after I get done with this stuff, I have the link up so I can, if anybody here wants to know results, I can let you know. Most events are done, but at the Ridge Valley Conference meet, senior and lead won 3 different events, including setting our school record in the 1600 meter with a great time of 4 minutes 43 seconds. Senior Jacob Muller also took first place in the discus. Our 800 meter relay team took first. On the girls' side, we had a couple of firsts in some relays. The 4x100 team of Emma Shane, Keely Miller, Keely Peterson, and Alana Nelson took first, along with the 4x200 meter girls team, Keely Miller, Emma Shane, Alana Nelson, and Olivia Cole. And that's the length of the conference results from a week ago. Anybody here at home, I do have the regional link up right now on my computer here.
How did the 4x100 girls do?
4x1. They took second.
Okay.
Anybody else curious about, there's like I said, there's still a couple of events left, but most of them done. Anybody else is curious about anything? So if not, I'm sure I know we'll have definitely some teams and individual athletes that'll be taking part in sectionals of basketball on Thursday, and then state track would be the following week in the 20.
What place is advanced to sectional stuff? Second place advanced.
Top 3, but I've heard top 4 on relays, but
It's for sure 3, but yeah.
yeah, there was 3, but I've heard 4th was a possibility, at least in some of the events.
Sure, that's cool.
So we definitely are, just based off the ones that are done, we'll have multiple girls and boys, individual and teams.
And we had a little tougher regional, didn't we, Zach, than some in our conference? Is Fenimore regional or sectional?
This is Lancaster, I believe.
But Fenimore
But
is in this regional.
Right, they're in the regional, but see, they've got some, lot faster than what some of our conference went to.
Some was Zika or the Ridge and Valley teams in this, so the other teams went different directions. This was, I was talking with Coach Lorenz about it, this was what, actually baseball and softball were different too. The WIA redrew up regionals for every sport this year, so they're all look a lot different than in normal years, so it's definitely something different. But yeah, I even know like basketball typically does not host the sectionals, that's usually in
Bangor.
Yeah, so just even that changed, so it's definitely a little different this year.
And considering we don't have a track, I mean, we are a sport that really doesn't have
That's a big
place
deal.
to practice.
Oh, we got a road.
Yeah, we had a road.
Yeah, county road, you know.
Is that how they get so fast? They run.
Yeah, they run faster, run for your life.
Yeah, cars chasing them.
Yeah. Anything else from the athletic director? Thank you. Moving on to item 8, old business, 8.1 COVID/pandemic instruction, 8.1.1, discussion and possible action on learning modalities and masking.
So I would like to recommend that face coverings become optional for anybody that would like to wear them, whether they're being transported, except for sports that are still following WIAA rules, but optional. Same thing with the 6 feet. If people would like to continue wearing their mask and would like to be seated away from somebody, all they need to do is say, I would like to be seated away, and I'm keeping my mask on. People that are working here, we have been masked all the time in the district office. As soon as we walk into somebody else's office, we all put our masks on, because if you're by yourself, you can have it. But as both Chris and Kathleen and myself all agree that most of the people are vaccinated now, and we'd like to treat COVID-19 is more of a flu than a pandemic, kind of to normalize it a little bit. But we'll probably also revisit it in August to see what the state of our county is and to see what's gonna happen for the beginning of the school year.
I would make a motion to, do we need to make a motion?
Yes,
Make a
this is an
motion
action
to make masking and social distancing optional, in particular in the building for staff members. And that we would revisit, what that looks like in the fall at a later time.
Motion made,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Variance. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mr.
Item.
Manning, you can take your message.
Thank you, guys. I knew it was coming.
Just saying. I knew everybody was gonna be like, done.
8.1.2, discussion and continuing virtual education in the 21-22 school year.
So we haven't, because part of it, because just life happened, so we didn't have our curriculum meeting this year, so we didn't get to talk more about it, but we would like to still move forward with that. We just don't have anything for action right now.
Okay. Yeah, just keep, bring it back as presented. I think there's strong interest in what has been presented and previously, and I think the parents and the students will be pleased with that, so, okay. No action on that. Moving on to item 8.2, discussion possible action on air cleaning processing costs and precision controlled GPS 41,000 upper 90 that we received a bid on. At this time, as I stated in my building and grounds report, we certainly can have a discussion on this now, but we were talking about doing some more due diligence on it. The Building and Grounds Committee and Frank Waslick taking a trip to, I know that several schools in the area have installed them or in the process of installing, as well as several hospitals and nursing homes in the Viroqua area, Richland Center area. So we are discussing going and looking at those and having an actual sit-down discussion with some of the executives at those entities to really try to evaluate. And so I don't see that they were at this point for an action item. The one thing I will ask Julie though, this is ESSER funding. It's paying for this. What's paying for this?
It would be ESSER
Theory.
3 funding.
ESSER 3 funding. If we do not use it for this, how difficult will it be for us to find other uses for these funds?
Not at all.
Okay.
Is that money that's in Fund 46?
The next line will take care of
We
it.
we can't put it in Fund 46.
Can't do 46, that's
Oh.
not school budget.
We can't supplant.
So it actually needs to be spent.
It needs to be spent on things that we would not normally do.
And we have to, there's lots of rules, again, barring what the legislators are doing right now in joint finance. I'm gonna ignore that for now, and assume we'll be able to use the budgeted money like we were given.
I'd like to spread it out over 2 years, because once we hit 750,000 in federal funds, then we get audited,
Have
a
to be
single
single
audit on
audit.
federal funds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
My preference would be
I
to
would
spread
concur with
it
that.
out over
I
those.
concur
I
with
do
that.
remember at the building and grounds about, some of the after-school programs, the daycare, some of that stuff was all eligible for that ESSER 3 money.
yes, and we have 2 years to spend it.
I mean, I just want to make sure we will evaluate it at building and grounds, and I don't want to make a hasty decision. As I said, I looked at the data and I'm going to share this story. I remember in my job, I'll be asked to evaluate things like biodigesters, anaerobic digesters, and this one was an example at a cheese plant, but I was doing research and I talked to a professor at Iowa State, and he taught engineering, and he said, Ron, anytime you hire for a feasibility study, and the person you hire does a feasibility study also sells that technology. All feasibility studies will lead back to that technology. And that's where, when I read these articles that Frank sent over, it's difficult to find something that's not written by a manufacturer of equipment. And that's what my biggest concern is. As long as I don't want to lose these funds, and if we have potential options, we'll certainly evaluate this. We have been, and then we had people attend via Zoom at our Building and Grounds Committee that had some very good questions. And obviously, we're very concerned about our students' health and anything that from a filtration. But You know, I talked to Frank also about, one recommendation was, you know, the filtration system, use MERV filters or HEPA filters. And I asked Frank, what do we got in here? And he said MERV filters. And yeah, so there's I think a lot of discussion and a lot of evaluation yet to go on this. So I think as long as we have options for it, we will evaluate it and then make a decision as a board. Anything else on that? Will it be tabled or it'll take it up at a future meeting? We'll have it on next, assuming another agenda. Item, moving along, item 8.3, discussion possible action to hiring a school nurse.
So we would like to hire a school nurse using ESSER 2 money. The salary range would be between 54,000 and 63,000, depending on their experience. We could potentially hire an LPN versus an RN, but they would also be getting insurance. So it would cost us a maximum of about $75,000. The idea is that we would use the ESSER funds for their full-time for 2 years, and then they would know that we would reevaluate that full-time position at that time.
Comments, discussion?
Well, if we go back to the nurse that has been doing it part-time, you know, she indicated that we had a lot of things that weren't up to date like they should be. We do have students that do take medications. You know, the liability to a school district to not have somebody on board. You know, and as long as we have the funding, probably a full-time person right now to get everything caught up and brought up to where it should be, would be a good thing, and then it can be evaluated. But yeah, we, you know, one lawsuit could.
Other discussion? Action? Just to be clear, we're talking, and then this would be fully have benefits as well.
Yes.
So an idea would be 54 to 63,000 additional estimate that was basically, you know, for an RN, LPN maybe less, but 20,000 is the approximate estimate for benefits. Am I correct? So we'd be talking anywhere from 74 to 83,000 in that range for an RN.
So we're looking for a request to post for that position.
So what does that come out to, like, hourly, Cheryl?
No, that was me.
That's one thing we were asking, is it kind of contract would be
Well,
2,080?
I know,
considered
but I
full-time,
mean, the average around here,
Oh.
that's what I'm saying. What I want to know is, are we in that $25 to $30 range, or are we above?
It's a little more than that. We were basing that on, I want to say, I can't remember, and I didn't bring that notebook in. I got that estimate from Mrs. Lewis. She works at the Turbo. She works a lot in the nursing field, and so she had a good idea of what they would cost. So I want to say 42 is not my number, but like 32 to 42 or 34 to 42, something like
So
that.
that is, you know, like, I know what Pine Valley starts out at, and I know what the hospital starts out at, so.
Well, are we planning year round or school?
that was my question there.
We don't need them to be here in July, but it would be nice if they could work like, kind of like the upfront office secretaries. They work 2 weeks on the beginning and 2 weeks on the end of the year to help us get set up and Mrs. Wanless, she's on later, but she did give us a nice list of things that we should have from the nurse. I just figured 8 hours a day for 40 hours a week for 200 days, I think, 210 maybe.
So this person would be in the building
Full time.
those days?
We do have some youngins coming that do have some health needs. So if we were to do this, I know that the the elementary teachers would be relieved.
And it sounds like Weston has a full-time nurse. Many of the surrounding districts have.
Richland's got 1.5, I think.
Yeah, now they have 1.5.
ESER two money would just pay for payroll, correct? The other benefit expenditures would come out of another
I
source?
think we can
You
use
can
it.
do all of it. That'll eat ESER two up. 2 years worth about.
Because it's 167,000 in ESER two.
Would it be a year-to-year contract or?
Almost everybody here. gets
Oh, sure.
Well, I'm all for it and would go for it. I just would like to know what we're looking at hourly. I mean, I want to know that we're in the range that nurses around here are getting paid.
Well, if I'm doing 1680 at the base salary of
37.50.
54,000, right, at $32.14.
Okay.
$54,000. I mean, this is the
And I
salary.
went high end. I went
Oh,
63,210 days. Comes down to $300 a day divided by 8 hours, comes down to 37.5.
So that's high.
The low end is
Well,
$32.
I just took the.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, do we have to do a
So.
set amount right now? Do we have
No,
to say that it's gonna
we're
be
just
in this?
posting the position.
Okay,
Needs right now.
Okay.
And the amount is just a generalization of.
And
This
I
is what
always
we
take
were
high when I'm building my budget. because-
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
The one thing you're gonna have to keep in mind, though, there isn't too many nurses that's gonna go get a job for the month of July. So you're paying a yearly salary, if you're comparing
Right,
a
but
job at the.
I know they
nursing
could get
home.
in per diem any of the places around here
Yeah.
because they're really looking for,
If somebody's gonna leave the hospital, they're gonna go, I'm making 55,000 a year, I'm not gonna go take 45, even though I'm not getting paid for 2 months essentially.
And that would be the
So I don't know if
balancing
you
act.
can base
yeah,
it
that
off
could be
your
the
hourly
balance. Yeah,
And we might be
wage
able
as
to
much
pay
as
it
the yearly
24 pays,
salary.
like we do teachers.
Yeah.
So they get a salary during the summer.
Most teachers choose to get their salary paid for 24 pays, even though they only work 9 months. And some peers even do that, which is very difficult. No, some peers don't get to do that, I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different thing, but that this person could potentially do that also, that we would give them a amount that they would work, they'd be salary, they wouldn't have to punch in and out, but they would be expected to be here as a professional, and we could prorate it for the 24 months. That way they wouldn't have like no income for, the 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But again, you have to,
But I'm just going back to, if we would wanna say we wanna hit a $30 an hour, because that's what everybody else is doing, you're really taking a $5,000 a year pay cut. Taking this job versus your job at the hospital, if you're gonna try to pull one of them.
Yeah.
People.
well, and we work Monday through Friday, we don't work holidays.
and our insurance package,
Is,
I will tell you right now, is better than the hospitals, it's better than the county. And that 5,000 would be made up very quickly because we pay the deductible.
yeah,
So,
So there's other benefits like
correct,
this.
yes.
and again, that's a person that would, if you work nights and weekends and you're okay with that, that's fine, but if you're a family person, you'd be, to lose 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 in a whole year with that, might balance out for them, we don't know. So I want to just give you the range.
All right.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we post to hire a school nurse full-time using ESER two funds.
Motion by Linda,
I'll second.
second by Kelly. Other discussion? All in favor, signify by
Roll call.
let's do roll
Yeah.
call, yeah, on this.
Right?
Yep.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller? Mr. Brisboy?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Busher?
Yes.
Mrs. Perry? Yes.
Okay, approved. 8.4, discussion possible action to hire a communications person.
So I brought this up before, but I would like to hire somebody for a set amount of time, $20 an hour, for 50 hours, it would be $1,000. And I would like to advertise it internally and have that, whoever would like to apply for it, hire for that position, and then they would use it, their time, however they see fit, out of normal school hours.
And this person will do what?
Administer the new communication plan, assist with setting up the webpage, all of the communication that we have that goes out on our app. Just also on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff.
Questions, discussion?
Who's doing it now? Or we're not?
Well, between Julie Thompson and Adam, they both work it a little bit, but it's really, this is like above and beyond what it's in their job description. And they've been kind of squeezing it in, but when you want to fix the website, you just need to sit on and fix something.
This would be specific to summer, or is this something maybe like a tech ed computer class could involve seniors where they could have some work experience, some sort of skills that they can.
Well, that's a great idea, Mr. Brown. I can. Yeah, we might be able to have a student help us with that. That would be a different kind of position. I'd like to see how this flies first. And I'd like somebody that already knows how to do it, so I don't have to train them.
But as far as like an ongoing versus adding a new hire, utilizing that as like not an internship, but some sort of.
Oh, youth apprenticeship,
Yeah,
definitely.
development
We have,
skills.
we have,
Or somebody who's on track for software or whatever tech.
we've had for 3 years now, we've had an IT person that's a youth apprenticeship, so, yeah.
So other discussion on this, we're looking at 50 hours for $20 an hour, other discussion. Any action?
You got $1,000 worth of work for somebody to do?
Well, yeah,
I motion to spend $1,000 on a communications person.
Motion by Mr. Brown, is there a second?
I'll second.
So by Ms. Keller. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Busher,
Yes.
Mrs. Varian. Yes. Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes.
Moving on to new business, item 9.1, discussion, possible action of bills and balances.
You have your totals to read.
Well, that's what I was asking before for clarification, but
I can read them if you want.
just go ahead and go through them, and hopefully I'll keep notes.
So we have bills and balances with receipts of $357,989.53 and disbursements of $274,857.99.
See, I don't know where your stuff I printed off, there's none of that.
Oh, that's on the bill, the balance.
I printed them both off, and they were both identical on the agenda, on the, what was sent out, it was on the website.
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept those figures as presented.
Seconded by Mr. Brown, first by Ms. Peterson. Other discussion, roll call.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Fairhans.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
9.2, discussion possible action on project search contract.
so project search is, the word search comes from something in a hospital, that's where the H part comes from. It is a program that was developed in Cincinnati for students with disabilities to go someplace and get a year-long job coaching thing. They work in the morning and have soft skills, how to set your alarm, how to make sure you're up, how to look people in the eye, how to shake somebody's hand, how to ask for clarification on something. And then they do 3 to 4 long-term job shadows. And what they found is that studies show that students with disabilities actually stay much longer in their jobs if they're properly trained. And it also reflects very positively on the business that hires them. So we plan to send somebody to Project Search. Technically, it's a special ed thing for this particular student. So I just needed you to know that it is costly to send the child, and we do have to pay for transportation. I'm hoping that I wrote for a grant that will cover all of it.
But the actual bill to send the child, is $9,800. But basically, we're getting the child as a student, we get all of that child's money as a student, and then we kind of turn it over to CISA because they're running the project.
So what do you need for an action item?
It's 9,800 plus transportation.
Plus transportation. I guess it's a special education thing, so I would be more comfortable knowing that you guys know about it. I don't necessarily need approval, but I'm okay if you approve it also.
But you can't not approve it. I'm just saying.
I didn't say that.
I just said it.
Mr.
So
Wright?
then where that student goes, they will have like a one-on-one.
Yeah, they go to UW Platteville. Actually, I wrote it for this project search when I was at CISA 3 myself, so I'm excited to send our first student, because it's so good for the kids. They will drive them to Platteville, and they have 2 teachers, and they have the workforce development people are there, and they all have different things where they go and do job shadows, and they had to audition for it to make sure that they were qualified enough to go, and the student did excellent and was accepted.
So how often do they go? Daily?
Every single day, just like it's
Quite a
school year.
road trip.
For the school year?
For the school year. The project search follows the not UW Platteville, just Platteville School District schedule. Yeah, it'll be an hour, almost an hour there and home every day.
This is a student, senior in high school.
This would be typically, I'm not gonna talk about the child
Right.
itself, but there's 2 ways you can go. You can go as your 5th year as a high school student, meaning you completed all of your IEP goals and now you're going to do this, and then it's on the school district. Or sometimes the students graduate from high school and the county or workforce development decides that it's the best placement for the child, and then they send the child themselves. It's an awesome program.
We are responsible to get them there then?
Up till age 21, are we not?
Actually, we're liable all the way through their 20, so if they turn 21 on September 1, they go to school the whole year. So, again, this is a general special ed thing. I'm just excited that we're able to send this child here. This kid's excited too, so.
The grant would pay for the expenses and the transportation, assuming it's.
Yes, and a van, if I get the grant. It's like almost $100,000 in the grant if we get it.
So do you think you're gonna have any trouble getting a driver? As much trouble
Yes,
as we're
I
having
am.
getting bus drivers?
I am.
Who's gonna drive?
They will have to stay all day. correct?
Well, it depends on the driver. I mean, we might have to pay somebody to drive them there and then sit and then drive them back home, and they'd be getting paid, route pay and hourly to sit there. Or if there's somebody that, has a part-time job in Platteville and wants to work part-time and whatever, or they might want to get the kid and come back home. We got to leave it a little open. We don't know. I know Boscobel is willing to share a van with us, and I'm like, it's an hour to Boscobel, and then it's another half an hour to Platteville. That does not compute for me.
That's 45.
Yeah.
So,
I think the biggest hurdle is gonna be to find some way to just do that.
You're right.
So if we did like an action item, just, contingent upon getting the grant, we're gonna do this no matter what, or are we going to, if we get the grant?
No, we're gonna send this child.
Okay.
We'll pay for it out of special ed funds if needed.
Okay.
We'll find the money in transportation. Might have to fix up the van. I was just about guaranteed the van. I'm the team guy, but we'll see. I should know that within 2 weeks if we've got the grant.
Discussion, other questions? Actions?
You said we really don't have to take action. I mean, it's happening.
Okay. Move along. Thank you for giving us updated on that. We'll move on to item 9.3, discussion possible action approving preliminary 21-22 budget.
Do they have paper copies of this or not?
No, I don't.
That's all right.
So all funds. Oop, that's better. So the idea behind the preliminary, we do not set our budget or our tax levy until the October annual meeting. But in order for us to continue operating and spend money starting in July, just like the state does, we have to have a preliminary budget approved. As I was telling the finance committee, it's increased by 1.99. This cost that we just talked about isn't built in it yet. And I think there was one other thing, but there are no major projects of any sort. It's all salary things. It's kind of the typical, it's what was turned in and approved by Kathleen and Chris from the teachers' budgets. I don't have, I don't have the freezer project in Fund 50 at this point either. But, so the total budget for right now, the preliminary is $7,013,386.20. That's all funds. That's Fund 27, which is special ed. It's Fund 50 with, for food service. Fund 10 is our general operating, which is where all salaries and bennies come from unless you're a special ed teacher.
Sure, where is that number? I'm sorry, I must.
It's not on this.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the budget adoption format, and then it summarizes those into smaller categories in the publication one, which is where I'm getting that total from. Sorry, which I didn't attach, sorry. So, yeah, it was a 1.99. This last year's budget was $6,876,871.94. So.
Questions? We do need action on this.
Yes. Unless you don't want anybody paid in July and August. Or utilities paid or. Insurance.
So it was like a 1%, one and change, what was it?
1.99%,
In expense increase.
yes.
And
the revenues are not balanced yet at this point. I'm off like $9,000 short. This year we took a huge cut in revenues from not admissions to games.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, that's like 20,000 there, so, and I don't know if I have all of the grant monies in. I mean, we'll have a balanced budget when it comes to October, but at least I hope.
That's the plan.
That's the plan, that's always my plan.
I would make a motion that we accept the preliminary budget presented.
Motion is seconded. Let's have a roll call on this.
Mr. Brisboy,
Yes.
Mr. Busher,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Keller, Mr. Brown,
yes,
Mrs. Varian. Yes. Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Very good. Item 9.4, discussion possible action of paying out remaining 2020-2021 approved expenditures.
So this gives us the authority, because we're not gonna have a board meeting before our end of fiscal year. It gives us the permission to finish spending out the expended budgeted expenses for this year. So it's gonna be your utilities and finish paying out the payrolls, and because we have to book all of the summer payrolls in this year.
And we know we're trying to get some projects done to use up our budget, but as stated, we will not have another board meeting before then, so we'll do that just as a preliminary approval.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Manning, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boucher. Roll call.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Item 9.5, discussion possible action on district commercial insurance renewal.
So my recommendation is to renew it as it is, other than I think we need to increase our cyber liability.
How much is that?
We got notes here. So if we go to the new company, $500,000, it's gonna cost us $2,091, which is up $743 from that amount there, which would make our total $55,938 instead of $55,195.
Sure, would we save that cyber liability on the renewal, like that premium that's on there, would that go away?
Right, it's in replacement of that.
So
That's why
that would zero out, and then we'd have a second policy for cyber liability.
Right, because the property insurance, we have two carriers for our insurance. We go through Tricorp, but there's two carriers. So the property and the cyber coverage was with Chubb. The property's gonna stay with Chubb because they didn't increase our premium and they gave us the same coverage. But the cyber is with a different company.
They decreased the coverage from $500,000 to $250,000.
Right, and
And
so
left the
we
bill the
moved to the new policy, and I talked to Adam. There are a lot of claims right now for ransomware, lost stolen devices, social engineering, hacking. And some of the claims are anywhere from 50,000 up to $3 million. So my question to Adam was, is 500,000 enough? I would like to see us go to $1 million. And if we did that, we could only increase our policy by $1,026. So instead of paying the $55,195, it would be $56,221. And we know we'd be covered.
With $750,000 more of liability than what's quoted there.
Correct. And it's got a $5,000 deductible on it. So we'd be on,
On the hook for some.
on the hook for some of it, but, Adam and I talked today a little bit, he said, if we had something attack our system and all the Chromebooks came up, it could potentially wipe out every Chromebook we have. So he thought that would be enough to replace all the hardware, software, having somebody come in and help him get everything back up and running, that sort of thing. But whatever you feel, I just, in this day and age and the more technology we get into.
And we've made
Yes.
a big investment
Yeah,
over the last 9 months.
I know this one ransomware was $800,000 payout to get their data back. The healthcare that had ransomware was $3 million. And this is that same company. This is their statistics of what they've paid out.
Yeah, it's been making the news.
We'll just make up some grades.
Good.
Yeah, I
So
think you,
whether,
I think your GPA was twice.
900,000 or $1 million,
I would consider the $1 million to be a better.
For $1,000.
Better value.
well, it wasn't that much of an increase to go
Yes,
up
that's
to
what I-
the million.
That's how I looked at it. It wasn't
300. It's 500.
discussion, questions, action.
I make a motion to go ahead with the $1 million bump up coverage.
I would second that.
Motion by Bob, second by Linda. Any other discussion? Should we do roll call on this? Yep, let's do that.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Ms. Mrs. Keller, I had you as Mr., sorry.
Say no, just for that. No.
Yes. I corrected it before I said it though.
That is approved. Item 9.6, discussion possible action on a therapy dog. I thought that's what Kathleen's was.
That was a Kathleen question. She's not here to discuss, but I think it would be at no cost to the district. Would you guys be okay if we had a dog in the district? I guess is the way to look at it.
I'd boil it,
Gonna be
Jenny.
a bulldog, so we can use it as a mascot as well.
I don't know if it's a bulldog, and some
It's not
dogs,
Toby.
it's not Toby.
Toby, oh, okay.
It's kind of our therapy dog anyway.
Toby's nice.
So did anybody run this past the insurance company?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna just ask.
Just cast insurance. Somebody gets it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bump up.
There's different kinds of
Yeah,
dogs.
she's-
There's therapy dogs and then there's comfort dogs.
Toby.
Coping and comfort.
And aren't they certified? I mean, they
Yes,
have certificates.
Lots of them are. I just wanted to know, I guess Kathleen wants to know if we should explore the option or if you guys are like, no dog.
Well, I think the insurance issue has to be looked at.
Well, what about the children that are afraid of dogs?
Well,
Or alert.
but I mean,
Allergic.
yeah,
Yes.
and then, also there is an awful lot just being printed off the internet that this is my comfort dog. And you get this little certificate that looks real official, you get this little harness that looks official. I mean, I would say the only way a dog could enter in here would be with the legitimate, has gone through the training.
Let's just,
Yeah.
I don't want to ban the machine's dog, but I mean, let's,
Yeah.
but,
He only comes when there's no students.
okay.
Does he? Did you have a question?
No, just to your point, I think a lot of that's the sales, so somebody can take their dog into the store because they want to, but I agree, if we're actually gonna go down the road of a comfort dog, it needs to be a legit.
We'll do some research on it and get back to you guys.
Very good.
I'll check with the insurance.
We'll move on to item 9.7, discussion possible action in accepting resignation of nurse.
So we have the resignation of Mrs. Skyla Wanless. She thanks us for the opportunity to expand her knowledge of school nursing and does advocate with a list of things that we should have our nurse too, so.
Okay, action to accept the resignation, excuse me.
So move.
Mr. Manning,
Second.
second by Ms. Ferriens. All in favor, signify by saying aye, accepting the resignation.
Aye.
Opposed? For her service to the school. Item 9.8, discussion possible action on safety drill documentation.
I gave this to our principals to give to us and they didn't do it, so we'll have to table this.
Table it for next meeting, our future meeting. Item 9.9, discussion possible action on expunging of old winches. Archery targets, pictures and items to
There's some
expunge.
books.
There's lots, there's two huge pages of expunged items. I love walking around the building and seeing the notes, expunge this pile.
Cassettes, come on, what's in that? Valuable stuff.
This is
Next to
very,
the 8-track
there's a really cute one in here. So Mr. Klein had a list, here's some things. And then this is the one that's cute. Some of these are double, so I apologize for that. There was a blue rug here. Big books, there's the same cassettes. But, where did it go? Oh, she took it out.
Secretary.
Oh, she had Mary Jo on there. Yeah, I saw it when Mary Jo was on there.
She was pointing to herself and she put herself on the exposure list.
Yeah, she showed that to me when I stepped in at the office. She said, see what we're expunging? And I'm like, I only have a quick question about those winches.
Yes.
There's no way that we would be held liable at all. Are we better to just scrap those for the metal price?
Well,
Expunging can mean.
it can mean anything. We get. rid of
Okay,
them.
okay.
We don't really want to sell them. I do know
Yeah,
that
I
Mr.
mean-
Monty would like to give Mr. Gutnick something as a joke.
I mean, I just, since we're getting rid of them because they're faulty, I would not want some
Yeah, we
other
would.
school to,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, and then she took her picture out because she.
yeah, it was a good picture.
So
That's
that
a picture, too.
uniform, is that just one or is that how many?
Sample high schools, algebra books, band uniforms. Bought them from UW Whitewater approximately 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I went and picked them up with the Suburban.
Enough
We loaded them up.
jackets for some students, so some jackets and
So we will not have band uniforms then.
we have other things, I believe. I think they have,
They have a polo shirt.
Yeah.
Black.
they wear polo, white polo
Yeah,
shirt,
but they don't use.
I need some whisk on that collar.
They were really nice when we went to pick them up, you know, colleges, they get rid of
Yeah,
stuff
they
when it's still
rotate.
practically new, you know, so, but yeah, that was a long time ago.
Motions to
I make a
expunge.
motion, we expunge.
Mr. Manning, second by Ms. Variance. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, expunged. Item 9.10, discussion possible action accepting donations. 9.10.1, $500 from Mason Fenton's family for his memorial. Pretty straightforward. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I heard
I'll second.
Ms. Variance, Mr. Manning is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And thank you very much to the family and our condolences again. Moving along, 9.10.2, $200 playground donation from J.K. Brew.
Make that motion that we accept that donation.
I'll second. Second by Mr. Brown. Discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. 9.10.3, $25 gift cards, Tractor Supply, Richards Insurance, Wertz Floor and Home, Walsh's Ace Hardware.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Ms. Keller, second by Mr. Busher. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. 9.10.4, 2 oil changes from Philback Ford.
I'll make that motion.
By Ms. Variance,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Keller. Mrs. Keller. All in favor, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who made the motion, sorry?
Ms. Variance and Mrs. Keller.
Thank you.
9.10.5, cooler and can koozies from Jones Chevrolet.
I'll make that motion.
By Ms. Variance, or, sorry, Ms. Peterson. I could make a comment, but I apologize to somebody. Motion by Ms. Peterson. Yeah.
That's all right, Ron.
I know. Hey, you could have this.
No respect for your elders.
Motion by Ms. Peterson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Variance, so coincidentally enough. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved, motion approved. 9.10.6, one night stay at the Wilderness Resort in the Dells.
I'll make a motion.
By Ms. Keller. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Busher. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you very much to all those for those donations. 9.11, discussion possible action approving pay for support staff.
All right, so it's too small for everybody to read and I apologize. The names are over here. Here's their rate of pay for this school year. This is a 1.5% increase. Here's a 2% and a 3%. And then if you added the 2%, this would be their pay with the exception of the 3 people that are listed at $12 because we're trying to scoot up our base pay. So that works for all of these people. These are the people that we just hired for part-time, and they were started at $15 an hour, and it is our recommendation that they stay at $15 an hour for right now. Then we have some people that are, this is the first time you've seen them, but when you hire somebody and then you don't put them on a list, they never get a raise, and we don't want to do that. So they're gifted and talented position, IT helper, student IT helper, and our youth apprenticeship coordinator. We'd like them to get raises. And then the bus drivers are here, and you already approved, that our lead bus driver would get $1 more hourly than the hourly for her work as a lead bus driver. And then, let me go over here, we have 2 people over here. So again, this is their current rate of pay, 1.52 and 3, and this would be their rate with a 2%. And tell me to show you sections again, I'm sorry if I went too fast.
Shirley, your budget that we just approved, does that figure that in?
No.
And historically, we talked about this in finance, historically, we have done the same increase across the board. So we've already approved some, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron,
I believe we
At-
have.
3%.
Admin, yes.
The admin we did.
Mhm. And Cheryl, we, she said that in all the years that she's been here and, I've been on the board a few years. Historically, we just, if it's a 3% or 1.5%, it's across the board, so.
One thing I will interject is right now, I always monitor for part of my job is inflation rates. Inflation rate for 2021 so far through the month of May is running around 5%. Last year though, it was 1 point whatever percent, and obviously this, to my belief is, we've benefited, well, I'm not gonna go to that point, but I think 3% is appropriate and in lines with, consistent with what we have, and hopefully inflation will curve off. And that's my discussion point. Any other discussion on this? Look for action. What are your thoughts?
I think we've set the precedent, and to your point, with the inflation and as well as a factor, it makes a lot of sense to look at that 3%. I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Brown at 3%.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Busher. Roll call.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Busher,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller, Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
9.212, 9.12, discussion and possible action on paying new bus drivers a bonus.
This was just brought up in conjunction with our drive a bus day on Thursday, when everybody's invited to come and drive a bus. If we were to get somebody to be hired, other places do offer us a bonus. And so the suggested bonus would be $500 after successfully driving for 6 months. So no tickets, being here, driving the whole time, that kind of successful is what we're talking about.
That would just be tacked on as taxable wages.
Yep,
It's like a sign-on bonus.
like a sign-on bonus, but they have to work here for 6 months
Yes,
first.
performance period.
So I guess the question is, how is all the other bus drivers gonna look at that?
I can tell you that several of them will be wondering where their bonus is for working on all these years, and I brought that up. But we're gonna do something we are very competitive, but other places pay per hour, and some people get paid from when they leave their home. They get driven on a bus to someplace else, so they can get in a bus and drive a bus. Then they sit someplace for 6 hours and get paid that until they drive again, and then they get paid while they're going home on another bus. So they get paid $17 an hour all day. And they only did 2 routes. So of course they're making more money because they're there all day being paid. So it's our route pay is very competitive, and so is as a matter of fact, we scooted it last year, I believe, for the hourly wages are pretty close to that. So, but yes.
And I know we're really short on bus drivers, but I guess to my point, all kinds of companies do that. And it goes back to the people that have been your bread and butter, that have taken care of you, that don't get anything. You end up pushing them out the door because they get disgruntled. So if you bring one in, but one leaves because I've been driving for 4 years and you gave the new guy a bonus. Was it worth giving the new guy a bonus? I mean, there's all kinds of Dish Network, all kinds of companies. If you'll switch to us, we'll give you a half rate price. But the people that paid your bills for the last 10 years, you did nothing for. I guess personal opinion.
Well, it
A
would be-
refer a friend bonus, like, you know,
Some-
maybe
you know,
the bus driver finds somebody else, so you get a bonus for bringing them in.
I'd be okay with that.
The one thing that we did do, correct me if I'm wrong, is did we not pay them even when, or was that just the paras?
No,
So see,
everybody
we-
got paid.
So we did do that.
We paid them
I
last
mean,
year
we
for
paid them
Wednesdays,
last
even though
year.
we were virtual.
But did other school districts do that too?
No, most districts, and that's why they had a hard time if they tried to go back to school. I'll use Milwaukee area, they didn't pay their bus company. So of course, all those bus drivers got different jobs because they weren't getting paid. And so when they said, oh, you can have your job back, they're all like, well, I don't want that job, I now have a new job. So they couldn't get enough bus drivers. We paid our bus drivers last year when we were closed for 2 routes every day.
Which amounted to more than a $500 bonus.
Yes, and then every day, every Wednesday, they also were paid. There was an expectation that they had to clean their buses because we didn't have enough staff, but that's, you know, they could clean it on Tuesday night when they came back. They didn't have to come here on Wednesdays, but that was the idea, that they were in charge of cleaning their buses. But we do have very good bus drivers. I mean, they're loyal. But we need like 2 more of them, maybe 3.
But I mean, that is something that we did do that could maybe offset how they feel about. And that person would have to work 6 months. I mean, to get somebody to work 6 months is.
Yeah, otherwise you're just paying the cost, it's $2,000 and everybody's satisfied, and from there forward, new bus drivers get it,
Yeah, that's an idea too.
you know, pay
That's
everybody.
another.
Better tacked on as an end of year bonus. If you actually work the full year, whether you're new or not, there's a X amount of bonus for you. So you don't have somebody start and then quit. New or old. So whoever you start with, you have them for the year.
I like that better. So $500 bonus at the end of the year.
Yeah.
For the existing bus drivers.
Yeah.
Am I hearing that correctly?
All bus drivers.
All
I
bus
mean,
drivers that are
New.
the sign-on bonuses.
That they would complete the school year and then they would get the.
Bonus.
Yep.
Other discussion? Any action?
Well, do we want to take an action on that where it says new bus driver? Because I like what Bob said about
I like what Bob said.
Yeah,
too.
everybody.
That's a good point, Randy.
mess up
The-
that.
The agenda item talks about new bus drivers, but that'd be something for the next agenda.
All right, add it for next time.
But if she's going to have these people come,
Correct.
we could approve the new so that that could be an offer that would be made. And then if any of the bus drivers say anything, just say we're addressing it at the next board meeting.
Yes, I like that. Because then we have it properly posted
Yep.
on the agenda. So do we have any action on the new bus drivers, offering them a bonus?
I make a motion to offer them a bonus upon completion of the school year. Is that
How much? 500?
500? Is that per bus driver?
Yes. First and seconded. Any other discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Well, I'm not sure. Because I don't want to get in trouble. If we let this go through, then we're just gonna get bombarded with,
But if we say we have to put it properly on the
well,
agenda,
I think I would, yeah.
Can we-
Oh, we'll
but we
see them all on
Deal if we
Thursday.
can just table it for, but we're shooting for this week, right?
Yes.
Can there be a motion
Yes,
to
I
amend?
guess so. So,
Just, we would have to shoot down, what's your
Carry it
idea?
over.
We have to have a discussion at this moment. We'd have to then let the amendment, the motion die and from lack of approval. and then come back with a new motion.
Can we have a motion to amend what's actually worded here, or is that since it's?
No.
No, you cannot.
So
Because I
everybody
put
votes
new.
no when it turns down that motion.
Correct, and, but right now, we cannot change what's properly posted on. This has to be, we can take action on what's presented on the agenda. Anything different, we cannot amend at this time because that violates open meeting laws and properly posting.
But I will make sure I communicate to the lead bus driver that because of the verbiage on the agenda, we're gonna add it to next month, and they will also get a bonus.
I will guarantee it, I'll get a phone call tomorrow.
Well,
You know who
just-
will call.
Well, tell them to check the minutes and watch the meeting.
Okay.
Tell them to take time to watch we even Zoom properly broadcast.
And-
Yes.
And do the reminder that we paid them when they weren't driving.
There was a,
All right,
continue.
so.
Mr. Manning said yes.
Mr. Manning said yes.
You talked me into.
Mrs. Variance, yes. Mr. Busher?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller? Yes. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy?
Yes.
Bill's probably calling me right now.
9.13, discussion of possible action on WIA renewal.
We just need to renew our WIAA.
We do this every year.
So move.
First and seconded by first by Mr. Manning, second by Ms. Variance. All in favor? Oh, let's do roll call. I don't know how much it is, but let's do roll call.
Mrs. Variance? Yes. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller? Yes. Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy?
Yes.
Mr. Busher?
Yes.
9:14.
Costs this year? They have been waiting it the last 2 years.
I did not see any costing on it.
Oh, okay.
That's it, I can check the sheet then.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
think it's waiting again.
I don't know what
Well,
it's
should be
showing.
on the sheet that we-
Kelly, you seconded
It's
that, right?
Okay, that was good.
Oh, they're gonna stay business till start.
No,
COVID.
membership dues is $0. Sports assessment fee is $450. Non-contact co-op fees are $100. So, total that we saved in 2021 is $550. Your dues are $0.
Okay. Hopefully we can negotiate better. Okay. 9.14, discussion of possible action allocating Fund 46.
So we brought this up during finance. On the off chance that we have not spent all of our budgeted expenses. And we're gonna do a little research too. If we can wait, we will, but we would like to allocate that money into Fund 46 so that it's considered spent money.
Instead of building fund balance, which we've done other years, which is good for cash flow, but we don't get aid on
Correct.
those non-expended expenditures.
Where is our fund balance?
We're at 1.4,
That's good.
1.9, I think, at the end of last year.
Didn't see one.
The big thing is, you gotta realize that fund balance does not mean cash. That's what, it's the assets, all of the
Okay.
assets,
Okay.
okay? So it's money receivable. So I'll just tell you, this month, I transferred the last of our funds from investments to cover payrolls for this month. And the 15th payroll to cover that one. But on the 21st, we're gonna get over $2 million from state aid. It's how it ebbs and flows on when we get paid. So if we have a good fund balance and there's a cash sitting there, that helps us make
Right.
the bills without short-term borrowing.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
That's good.
Mhm. Yep. So anything as indicated, this is why we're trying to spend down the funds that we have left in our budget. And this is the way, this is our out, our, if we cannot.
It's a way of being able to expend those and get state aids on our budgeted expenses.
I'll make a motion.
And we don't have a dollar amount yet. It'll be determined, and that's what we discussed. We will have it determined. Cheryl and Julie will determine it, but we will move something probably into it. So motion by Mr. Manning. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Peterson. Any other discussion? Do you want a roll call on that?
Yep.
Roll call.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Ferriant.
Approved. 9.15, discussion possible action on employee working from home.
So in certain positions, and I always use myself as an example, say I wanted to take a week off and I didn't want to be away for 5 whole days because heaven forbid the world might come to an end. But if I wanted to work from home from my vacation, I could work like 2 mornings remotely and I would truly be working on, I could have meetings, I could answer emails, I could take phone calls, because I don't have to be in the building to do my job 100%. We would like to open that possibility to one particular employee, but I wanted you to have a discussion about whether or not you think it's appropriate for people to even work from home. Because we've never done that before.
How's
Is it ongoing?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, is this on a temporary basis and on an ongoing basis for this particular role?
I'm thinking it's gonna be more temporary, but probably for the school year, next school year.
Delivering of education to our students. How?
It wouldn't impact, the teacher does not teach, the staff member does not teach classes.
So this makes it kind of hard. Are we not discussing this in closed session?
We are, but again, it's as a general
General.
overall. We did have some staff, like, for example, every Wednesday we had, last school year, we had virtual. And on occasion, we allowed a teacher to teach from home virtually. That was not the rule, that was an exception, but once in a while you'll have a daycare not be able to do something, or that teacher themselves isn't feeling well. Or when we had to send whole classrooms home for 2 weeks, those teachers just taught other students from home. So it does work even with teachers, but on an ongoing basis, it wouldn't work for teachers. But there are 1 or 2 staff members that it would potentially work for. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
What would be the process for performance management or measuring productivity? Would there be regular check-ins with their direct report? Would there, how would we know if it's working?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, when you are a salaried employee, some days I get so much done and other days I don't get anything done.
Sure.
Was I here all day and working? Yeah.
Mhm.
But it depends on, if it's a full moon, that kind of stuff.
But I think the question there is more of an overall
Yeah,
basis, not on a day by day evaluation.
Whether it's a weekly check-in or it's a,
right.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense, that person should perhaps outline what their duties would be for the days that they are working from home. There's gonna be times they can't work from home, they're gonna have to come in.
Precedent. Is this setting precedent?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're opening up a can of worms.
But, you couldn't drive a bus from home, you couldn't, there's lots of things you can't do from home.
Mhm.
So it's a part-time temporary thing.
But in theory, you could be an athletic director from home, in theory. I mean, just as an example.
No,
Yeah.
that would be a good example. You gotta make a lot of phone calls, you gotta read lots of emails, you gotta go to meetings, but you can Zoom. That would be an acceptable job position that could do that. No.
Precedent.
Well, it's not really us, so it's school year.
I guess details is one thing. I mean, I'm not opposed to it if there's just cause and reason for it from we've always been accommodating and certainly of our staff and doing what we can. I don't know if I have enough information to really go on. I am worried about a precedent. Because I had, I'm not gonna, COVID or last year or this last season, school year was such an anomaly. I hope it never happens again. So I don't want to compare anything to that.
Yeah.
from an action perspective, could this be, do we have to make a determination of whether we're open to it with the limited information we're getting? It's difficult for myself to grasp what we're talking about. I mean,
Right.
teachers work, it's great for me when I come in and watch the teachers and understand, and I'm married to a teacher, but understand exactly what they're doing and all the staff. It's difficult for me as a board member to, I don't walk in their shoes at all. And I certainly, it's a difficult pair of shoes to wear. But I just, it's difficult for me to make a determination, at least in myself, to the circumstance here to approve it or not with the limited information, but.
I would be okay with this. I guess I would like to be able to talk about a specific employee in closed. I think I'm getting the gist that I wanted from you guys in the discussion part. I see where you're coming from. I don't necessarily need any action on it right now. And I do think that if we do move forward after closed session, that would be something in another board meeting, and I would actually have the attorney do some stuff. So.
Yeah, and if you're looking at hourly, that opens a whole different can of worms. Because, if someone's working from home who's hourly and they put down that they, on their calendar, that will stand up in a court hearing, whatever.
Yeah.
As far as what hours they put in, but maybe they didn't do anything.
Correct.
I mean,
Zero
so
point.
you're talking salary as opposed to hourly.
And I can't get.
Right, no, I'm just.
No, that's why I said, I'm like, I don't know if the board would go for it, but let's talk about working from home, if it would work for somebody, so.
I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, I just need more details, and so,
Yes.
it just depends on each individual circumstance, but there's a lot of things to consider here from everything that was discussed here so far. So is that enough for us to, do you absolutely need an action item tonight?
No,
Okay.
definitely not.
Any other discussion on this? Okay, we'll move along. Then I'm intrigued by it, but we'll have for future. 9:16, discussion possible action and committee meeting dates. 9:16.1, finance and personnel, Monday, the July 19th at 6:30. I believe we have that down. Do we not? Do we need a motion on that right now? Okay. 9:16.2, policy Wednesday, July 19th?
No, I'm sorry, I said July 19th, and that's because I was parroting the number.
Okay.
So I made a huge mistake. We moved policy to a day. I totally zoned on it. Mr. Brown asked me, and I'm like, no, it's on whatever this Wednesday was, and now I don't even feel we need a policy meeting this month. Can we set one for like the end of July? Okay, because
Let's do that.
the biggest one is for policy is student handbook, and that's on the principals, and they're not ready for it yet, so.
Will it be ready by the end of July?
It'll be ready by the end of July.
Pick a day.
All right, let me get to July.
Kelly, what day of the week do you like?
Wednesday is fine.
Which day?
The 21st. I could do the 26th. I could do the 27th. Or if you'd like us to go to, I can't do the last part of that week.
Let's avoid the 21st, just week of a board meeting, and it's just two
Okay,
nights.
do you want to do August 2nd?
That's just a party, yeah.
A little
I'm glad you like these kind of parties.
I love dropping in on municipalities when they're having their auditors. It's just like, you could drop a pin. I'm like, I go in and just, woo, let's work. What are you guys doing? Do you see the other set of books? That joke never goes over well.
28th.
28th.
July, I can't do the 28th. I can do the 21st or the 26th. Monday, the 26th?
I might be out of town.
Oh, well then, I could do the 27th, Tuesday, the
I think I'm
27th.
out of town that whole week.
Okay, then let's go to August.
You're hoping for
I'm out of that, I'm out of the office.
Pretty sure that's when we have our
that week, too.
vacation scheduled. Yeah.
August 2nd, that's a Monday.
calendar.
That's fine.
August 2nd, Monday, August 2nd at 6 o'clock. Got it.
August 2nd. Okay,
That was policy.
That's policy.
Thank you.
We should do a motion on that, should we not? On
Finance
August
and
2nd?
personnel?
Yes, we already approved that
Oh, you approved.
when we
Okay.
moved the board meeting because I had vacation.
On policy. Building and grounds, Wednesday, July 7th.
That was set for Tuesday the 6th.
Is that set for
Should I
Tuesday?
write down?
Correct, we have that down for Tuesday the 6th, not the 7th.
Tuesday the 6th. Okay, sorry.
At 6 o'clock, correct.
6 o'clock.
Okay, curriculum.
In talking with Mrs. Shane, there will be one scheduled when there's something to go over.
We could tentatively put one on the 8th, that's the Thursday. 5 if you want.
I would recommend you schedule something right now, and then if it doesn't work, then you can
Okay.
always, I mean, if you don't have a need for it, just cancel it.
Okay, all right, so
So what is it, July 8th?
July 8th
Thursday
at 5.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
She might say automatically no, because she's not working in July, but that's better. They have it on the calendar. and say
Correct.
no.
Okay. We want to make motions on this
I'll make a motion.
to approve the dates as presented for the finance personnel policy, building and grounds and curriculum. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. 9.17, discussion of possible action of August board meeting date.
I don't know if you wanted to go that far out, but.
Yeah.
Just scoot July back.
So it would be the 9th?
It would be August 9th.
And I will be one.
Oh,
On the 7th, we'll come back on the 14th.
Okay, you want to do the 16th? Anything? What's your
Monday the
thoughts?
16th? Okay.
Because I'll have it ready before I go.
Oh, okay.
Because normally the week before is when I.
Yep.
So 16th, are we talking? Okay. So the 6th, August 16th. At 7 o'clock. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 10, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub C for considering employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Discussion regarding the performance and evaluation of a district employee, teaching staff, administration, and or coaching staff. We will be in closed session no less than 15 minutes, maybe longer. So need a motion to go into closed session. Check. By Mr. Brown,
We're dancing around here.
second by Mr. Manning, correct?
Correct.
Did you do second?
I did.
Roll call. Mr. Brown, Mr. Manning.
Okay, Mrs. Keller. Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mrs. Ferriens,
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
11.2, discussion and possible action on hiring a middle school elementary reading teacher. Recommendation is Shay Schmidt for middle school reading with a salary at $36,940.
I would make that motion.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Variance, all in favor, we don't need to roll call, do we do roll call? Is it roll call? Let's do roll call then.
Okay, Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
11.3, a discussion possible action on hiring a high school basketball coach. The recommendation is Glenn Brown. Motion to approve? Not any action. If not, it'll be referred back. It will be, not hearing any action. It will be tabled for further discussion. I will move on to item 11.4. Discussion and possible action on hiring a full-time substitute teacher. We actually have done this. It's Sylvester Deidelhoff. We hired him back in March 29th, 2021 at $22 an hour. And just want to make sure that we are up to date on that. So I have a motion to approve that. Moved by Mr. Manning, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Variance, correct?
Ms. Keller.
Oh, Ms. Keller, sorry, you guys, so you got that soft place right in your mind left. Anyway, first and second, all in favor signify by saying aye with a roll call. Sorry about that, roll call.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Discussion of possible action, 11.5, discussion of possible action on hiring long-term substitute teacher Heather Stocks. She was a long-term sub for Miss Wanter, being paid $22 an hour. She actually should have been paid at the long-term sub rate, and we'll be bringing her up to that rate and compensate her with a back pay of $1,352.06.
I make that motion.
By Mr. Manning, is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Mr. Busher. Roll call.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller.
Yes.
And yes.
Mr. Brown. Sorry.
It's okay.
11.6, discussion of possible action on hiring high school math teacher. Michael Andreessen, $55,340. If need be, if he has to pay we have to pay Reedsburg to break his contract, we will pay up to $2,000 is my understanding.
What was the salary?
$55,340. Motions
So moved.
by Mr. Manning,
I'll second.
second by Linda Peterson. Roll call.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Let's go on to 11.7. Discussion possible action on hiring high school English teacher. The recommendation is Courtney Nugent at a salary of $37,940.
I'll move.
By Mr. Manning. You have that?
I didn't hear the first.
Oh, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, thank you.
Mr.
And it
Manning,
was
second.
37, what, 540?
37,940. Roll call.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
11.8, discussion of possible action on hiring elementary teacher, fifth grade teacher, Summer Seehofer
I will make that motion.
at $48,740.
We'll make that motion.
Second by Mr. Manning. Roll call.
Mr. Brown.
Sorry, what?
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yeah.
Mrs. Varian.
Who took that?
Busher.
Yes.
Who left in the
Peterson.
elementary?
Michelle Wobschall.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller.
Sorry.
11.9, discussion of possible action on hiring school office worker. The recommendation is Sheila Kitsimble at $14 an hour. Roll call. Oh, excuse me, motion. Sorry. It's late. A motion. Mr. Brown, second. Which one? Mr. Variance? Okay. Have to have you on the others. Get between you two. Roll call now.
Mr. Manning.
Right now, yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian. Yes. Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
11.10, discussion of possible action on hiring full-time high school paraprofessional Janelle Jones on a full-time basis, $27,383.50. Motions?
Can we make that 11.50 an hour plus
11.50
benefits?
hour, okay, excuse me, 11.50 hour, that is listed there, so 11.50 an hour. Mr. Brown, Mr. Busher seconded. Roll call.
Mrs. Keller.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance. Yes. Oh. Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Let's see, discussion,
Speak up like
11.11.
you're yelling at your kids. No.
Never do that.
11.11, discussion possible action on teacher pay for the 21-22 school year. We had a lengthy discussion and the $400 bump coupled with into the whatever it's
Compensation plan.
compensation plan is what we have approved, and we will leave it at this time. We will take no further action. That's already been approved, correct?
Yes.
Am I interpreting what our discussion was? Okay. So I don't believe any action is needed there because we've already approved the increase. 11.12, continued discussion of possible action approving administrative contracts. The compensation for Cheryl Richards would total a 2% increase of $81,838.03.
Say that again. Sorry.
2%.
So Cheryl was given a 3% increase and then an additional 2%
Thank you.
increase to
That's-
honor her years of service. So the
there you go.
total,
I'll just do the totals,
thank you.
is $81,838.03.
Cheryl, can I borrow 3 cents?
Yes.
Motion, I'm gonna take these separately.
I make that motion.
And Mr. Manning, is there a second?
I'll second.
Wait, Ms. Keller.
Good guess.
Thank you for pointing. Roll call.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian. Yes. Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Good. Moving on to 11.12.2, Mr. Lechner. Oh, okay. $86,145.08 is what his contract, upcoming contract,
86.
145.08.
You'll have to borrow 8 cents.
From him.
If he.
You're up to 11 cents.
There you go.
Twice as much I made today.
Motions, please.
Also move.
We're busy. Having too much. Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Manning. Roll call.
Mr. Manning.
Yeah.
Mrs. Keller. Yes. Mr. Brisboy.
Sure, yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
11.12. Oh, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I did
That's
Cheryl.
okay.
Did you catch that? I apologize. I jumped,
you
I
went
should have
down
done,
3 and then.
correct. I'm going on this list here and it's, so we'll do Miss Shane now. And we have a total of $80,150.60. You have that? $80,150.60.
Also
You're
move.
getting- Go after that 60 cents.
By Ms. Peterson, is there a second?
Go buy a blizzard.
I'll second.
By Mr. Brown, roll call.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yep.
Mrs. Keller.
Yes.
And Mrs. Keller again. I don't know why that's in there.
She's really important on that one.
Okay, we good there?
Yeah.
We'll go on to 11.12.
I never voted.
Oh,
but that's
Mr.
okay.
Oh,
Manning.
that was the second, that was
Mr.
the,
Manning.
She won't give me the
Mr.
60
Manning.
cents anyway, so
I didn't type this up. I'm just.
I just say maybe. Yes.
Okay.
move on to, that's approved. 11.12.4, Mrs. Proudy has the salary be $106,553.86. We had some discussion on paying out of vacation. We will add this to the contract. If any vacation days remain on June 30th of each year, the superintendent may carry forward up to 10 vacation days, 10 days forward for one additional year, or receive payment for such days at her per diem rate. All vacation days that are carried forward for one additional year and that are not used shall be forfeited.
How am I putting that in here?
I'll copy and paste it. I have a document with that on there.
Motions
I'll make that motion.
by Ms. Peterson.
I'll say. Nope,
Ms. Keller,
she beat me.
seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Manning. Mr. Busher.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yep.
Mrs. Grant.
Item 11.12.5, Mr. Hess, Adam Hess, the tech guy. We're going to move him to a salary position at a rate of $69,000 a year. By Ms. Variance. Second by Mr. Busher. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Busher.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance. Yes. Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller. Yes.
That's everything. 11.13, adjourn. By Ms. Variance. Second by Mr. Busher. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Stand adjourned.
So I don't commit